You can hear me?
You know, I'm not sure. I think we're live like this, and I think it's screwed up. Meaning that the scene that I thought was going to happen right now is not happening. The video. Let's play it right now then. What is happening? Okay, let's play the video, okay? Let's see here.
I hope your dog dies.
You didn't leave Islam. Islam left you, and there's nothing worse than that.
So this is what happens when women get educated. They become gay.
Yeah, you're all a bunch of deranged lunatics. Us Muslims don't fear you ex-Muslims or anyone for that matter. TF should we fear from you all? We only fear Allah, SWT. Get a life, loser.
You think people well believe the shit you say? You're a bitch. You even can't speak. And the English right. Oh!
At least my faith is strong and I'm not a coward who ran away from the religion I was born in.
You fuck? How can you say about Allah? I respect everyone, otherwise I will kill you.
Take the white man's dick out your mouth. Why so obsessed with gay intercourse?
Man, that filthy apostate Mariam Namazi is such a despicable slob. She looks like a slimy fat slut who got pooped out by a whale.
Must be so liberating to take it at the... whenever you feel like.
You're moving gays, fuckers.
And paedophiles should be locked up and given the death sentence?
You're an ex-Muslim and that's disgusting. May Allah burn you and people like you in hell. Okay.
Return to Allah before a sword meets your neck. All right, we're live and people can hear us. Hello, everyone. Hi, Yasmin.
Hi, Rami. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're here to celebrate apostasy on Apostasy Day and to educate people on what apostophobia is and do some activism around it. This is a coalition effort, Ex-Muslims International, multiple organizations, and a lot of the people involved with those organizations are here with us today. We have Yasmin with us, Yasmin Al-Baramawi. You want to say a little bit about your connection to all of this, or how about what you did for this program for us, or talk about that little thing behind you?
Okay. Apostophobia is an idea we started in December. We started to deliver to the public, mainly in correspondence with, or in opposite of Islamophobia, because I personally believe Islamophobia is fake, because phobia is irrational fear, and the fear from Islam is completely rational. So the real phobia is the phobia against apostates, because anyone converts out of Islam is in real danger on all levels, from death level to the being rejected socially or going to jail or family disowning them or whatever. So that's the real phobia that we have, and it's upside down. So the main idea of apostophobia is to put it back in the right place, like to reverse the upside down myth about Islamophobia, and to avoid being convicted of attacking religion, like other religions. We're just defending ourselves. And it also applies on any other religion or any other group that people want to control their members. Anyone has the free to leave.
So the term apostophobia, the concept behind it, and what it was a reaction to, it's a reaction to the concept of Islamophobia. And I want to defend. I want to give the defense that other people give about this. I think Islamophobia, the concept, if there's any good in it, first of all, it should have been a different word, something like Muslimophobia or something like anti-Semitism, anti-Muslimism, something like that.
Mhm.
Instead of what they did do was they combined two things, like legitimate criticism of a religion like Islam, that should have had his own word, and really that doesn't need a word. And then, hating Muslims, a type of they try to say it's racism. It's kind of like racism. It's a type of bigotry. Yeah.
I guess this is because they want to include Islam in the protection, not just themselves as individuals. Because how this phobia spread was hilarious, because it was they used terrorist attacks done by extremists or Islamists. So they want to defend. Linguistically it's wrong, but because when you get some discrimination happens against individuals. But they want even to protect Islam from being convicted of any bad things. So it's
as if ideas need protection.
Exactly. They are defending God and their religion, including throughout themselves. So if you attack me as a person, you are attacking Islam. You're attacking our God. You're attacking our Prophet. So put all this under one umbrella and be immune against any criticism. And the funny part is when they do a crime, when a crime is been held by a Muslim or Islamist, they fear Islamophobia out of that crime. And when the victim is a Muslim, they also say this is Islamophobia. So whether they kill or get killed, Islamophobia is the result from their angle. And it's not phobia. It's really rational. If anyone hears Allahu Akbar, they run. So that's completely rational. So yeah, that's why I think they put Islam instead of Muslim phobia.
So let's tell people a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. Maybe who's joining us. We have Haram Doodles coming with us. Alim from Secular Spirit, Veiled Rose, hopefully Wissam Sharafuddin, although he might not be able to join us, and Usama Al-Binni. And today we're also going to be talking about a special person, Betty, who's being detained right now in Morocco. We're trying to make a movement to help her get out. We'll be talking about that in detail later. And actually, I guess let me put on the screen something we have about that. Ex-Muslims International launches Free Betty campaign ahead of Apostasy Day on August 22nd. We'll be talking in more detail a little bit later. Oh, hate StreamYard. Well, we have, let's say a little bit about what's coming next too. Next, Alim's going to be on with me to discuss the poll question, so you guys can vote on this question. And then we have a section to talk about what is apostophobia in detail and how we experience it. And then a discussion panel on, I'm going to say it plainly, what are the obstacles to ending apostasy laws, or we could say apostophobia, and how do we overcome those obstacles? And then a poetry reading of an ex-Muslim, and then we'll discuss poll results and hopefully maybe even discuss some of what people are asking us in the comments. So right now, I guess do you have anything else, Yasmin, before we go to the next section? Oh,
Actually, no, I'm okay. Yeah, let's
go.
Okay,
I'll see you next soon then.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, Alim.
Hey, Rami, how's it going?
Good. So we are going to be discussing the poll question.
Indeed, we are.
You know what? I was going to post it. Did I? I'm not ready. Let's see.
Well, while you're posting it, I can read it, and then
All
people
right.
can think about their answers before they vote. How's that sound?
Sure. Perfect.
All right. So the poll question is, if God is real, would it create hell for those who leave the faith? So your options are 1, yes, no, infinite punishment for finite crimes is unjust.
3, no, freedom of belief shouldn't be punished. And lastly, 4, no, hell is a scare tactic to silence dissent. So those are your options.
Let's give people a little bit more guidance, because some people will have more than one of the no answers. And
I think so, yeah.
One that is like your main criticism.
Yeah. The one that you think resonates most deeply, I would say, is the
even
one
if all three of them do. Yeah, right? And maybe we're saying too much, because now we're kind of telling people how to answer.
Yeah, we're not completely unbiased, but we want you to vote of your own free will and choose.
And
whatever
also, you
think
guys
best
don't know.
reflects
Maybe
what
my answer is yes. Anyway,
that would be a big twist.
Okay. All right. Should we go to the next section now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, and I'll see you later. All right, next section here.
Oh wait, I am in this section.
Oh yeah, you are in this.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
I don't even have to think about it.
Happy Apostasy Day, guys!
Happy Apostasy Day.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good, really good.
Pretty good.
Everything's moving along well.
Yeah. Thanks for organizing this. I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we're here to talk about Betty. It's just insane that it's 2025 and we have a Moroccan feminist, atheist, human rights activist. She's also a psychologist. Ibtisam Betty Lashkar. She's been arrested in jail right now. She's awaiting her trial on the 27th. And really, she was defending freedom by sharing a photo of herself on X. And for us, and for her to be such a huge advocate for all of our freedoms, I think it's just, it made sense for apostophobia. Aleem, how would you say, and Rami too, for both in your life?
Well, I mean, for me, purge out of, fear and concern for my own security to, in many ways, a lot of people in my own family. I mean, I do this, my channel, and do all this advocacy that I do it. And I also do it out of fear and concern of what the repercussions would be for, about earlier, the conflate bigotry, hatred of Muslims with I've had to divide my life, my personality into these two separate areas. So there's the Alim and Ali, who's the one who's out there actually criticizing Islam, and then there's the other me that tries to not offend.
What about you?
Before, I kind of live in a bubble, been living in a bubble. When I hear things like Muslims, I've never experienced that, although I don't know, maybe it happens in people's heads and they don't tell me, I don't know. Which, by the way, I think is awesome. No one is like, you could get a job as your religion because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But maybe I could say, I've had apostophobia in my life, like a lot of us. Much why I was a Muslim for 32 years. Did I need that long? It had to have been something from becoming an apostate. What was I afraid of?
Rami, I was just going to say, I think there's a couple of people in chat saying that our voice is lagging.
The voice is lagging.
Can someone in chat let us know if we're sounding better now? Is it still lagging?
and it talks like you. Yeah. Young atheists, if it's still lagging, please. It says no, it's still lagging. So what does that mean, lagging? Like, what does that mean exactly?
Probably just internet.
Exactly.
It's like slow, like it's not going smoothly and seamlessly.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's mostly internal. I had that one comment that ended up in your reel. Return to it's interesting why even people would say stuff like that. Anyone have an idea? Like let's psychologize a little bit in a good way. Oh wow. Improved connection. Should I turn off the comments that are showing on the screen? Would that help?
Maybe one thing that could work is if you that might help.
Okay. Let's try it. All right, we're trying things to make this better, guys. Hopefully be better. I also just removed 2 of the platforms I was streaming to. Hopefully that makes things quicker. Okay, add to stage. Here we go.
Better now, hopefully.
Yeah, the other thing I did too was I removed the other 2 platforms I was streaming to. Maybe it gets better. I don't know.
Yes.
But hey, we moved around now. I like being in the
Yay, Apostasy Day. I figured it out.
I guess I could remove you guys again and add you back in. It might. You want me to do it? Oh, it's better now. Good. So one of the things we did fixed it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we were talking about apostophobia, and honestly, I think for me, what really just kills me about all this is that how often we fear, like the fear and hatred comes from our families and at homes, which is why so many of us live closeted lives. And I think, Elaine, like same with you and me, we're closeted in some ways. There's maybe very few family members that know or friends, but otherwise we have to kind of live a double life. And sometimes it feels like really we're living like these very separate lives where on one side we're ex-Muslims and the other side we're just sort of these other people that often can't talk about who they really are. And I think being an ex-Muslim, I think we often get that question from Muslims, like, why are you so obsessed with being an ex-Muslim and you make it your whole personality? And it's like, why wouldn't we make it our personality when leaving Islam is forbidden? Freedom is literally forbidden in Islam. And so the way, like, we have to talk about these things. Why wouldn't we talk about it? And actually also understand that there's so many of us out there that also feel the same things. And, you know, we're finding so many more ex-Muslims that we're connecting with online because they're able to find our content very quietly and secretly. And that's why we do what we do, is to really kind of help build that community and belonging. But yeah, it's scary. I mean, I've gotten very threatening, bullying messages. I've also gotten them from some family members, and it's just really sad, right? It's sad that they see that as such an affront to them being Muslim.
Yeah, our existence shakes their faith. That's weird.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Right? I mean, I remember when I was a Muslim, I don't think if I met an ex-Muslim, I'm not even sure if I consciously knew any ex-Muslims. I mean, I kind of grew up in the dinosaur age before a lot of internet. And then when I did get on the internet, I wasn't searching for Islam things. And I don't think there was much stuff anyway.
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention is that the way apostophobia manifests is different depending on who you are as an ex-Muslim. And as we saw from those little testimonials, those little snippets of comments that people get, ex-Muslim women experience apostophobia very differently LGBTQ people experience it very differently. There's like another level of hate that comes to them, and this is something I can't speak about, but like when it comes to women, maybe you could talk a little bit about how it's a bit more unique. That was the first time I saw Maryam Namazi's video, by the way.
Yeah.
That her, I can't believe like what that person said about her. That's awful, just awful.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't help but to laugh at the absurdity of it. And for me, I get rape threats, and I get death threats, and I get like just really horrible sexual threats, right? And I think that's why it's such a unique situation for ex-Muslim women, because there's like this other layer of hate, the misogyny that comes with it as well. And that's been, you know, I'm really glad that I made that rule for myself that I wasn't going to talk to Muslims, because I really didn't want to respond to any of this, right? Any of the apostophobia that I was experiencing just through social media. It wasn't even in person, real life. And it was from random people that I don't even know that they're, you know, continuing. Like every day I wake up to like hundreds of like horrible apostophobic comments.
Helps with content creation.
Sure.
Silver lining, I guess.
Do they know they're helping? I doubt it. You know, I had somebody tell me that my content, Deconstructing Islam, where we help people who are struggling with Islam, he said my content is helping promote Islam. And he's a Muslim saying this, and I think his logic was something like, you know, because we're doing it so poorly, we can,
or maybe like there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Something like that. Yeah. It was really weird. It was really weird. I never heard that kind of thing. You know,
or what's the thing? We're still, even though we're ex-Muslims, we're still keeping the name of Allah on our lips, which is an important thing to do as a Muslim.
You remind me of what I wanted to say earlier. Haram Doodles was saying, you know, people ask her or question something like, why do you make this your whole identity? And I'm guessing I have a little bit shared with her. We're both in the US. We don't have it that bad. Some people do. I think I have it even easier than most people in this show right now. But I want other people who I know are suffering from all of this to not be suffering anymore around the whole world. So the point is, like, I care about my brothers and sisters, and why me in particular? Well, we're privileged over here, right? And I know something about it, so I feel it's my responsibility to do something. I think not doing these things would be horrible. I mean, I should be ashamed of myself. New wording.
Honestly, there's so few of us that have some level of privilege to be able to do this. And I think that's the point that I got to as well, where I was like, I have to do something. I don't live in a Muslim country, so I actually, like, there is some level of protection for my freedoms. I don't know about this Trump era, but we're not going to go there. That's a sidebar. But I think that's the thing, is that, like, apostophobia targets people for rejecting religion, right? Or talking about why we reject the religion. But naming it matters so much, because that oppression is so invisible and it happens behind closed doors that we have to name that. And I think for us, like, we have to continue doing what we do, because we're the ones that can actually use our privilege to an advantage, right? Like, we can utilize that and actually help others, even if it means someone finds our content and they can relate to it. That's really helpful. That's how I started deconstructing, was like finding ex-Muslims of North America, or finding, right, like the ex-Muslim subreddit, finding Secular Spirit, like all these folks that were online that were actually talking a lot of all the things that we were thinking about. And I think that's right. Like, there's like this one level of apostophobia that we experience at home. There's this external one that we like experience in the environment. Then in Muslim countries, they're also experiencing like state punishments, which is what Betty is going through right now, right? Like, oftentimes blasphemy laws are also used in conjunction with apostasy laws. And I think that's the scary part, is the real consequences of all this. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen in the US or other Western countries, but it just has another thick layer of the government laws that are built around religion. And I think that's the unfortunate part of it, is like this other layer of thing that we're fighting for as well.
Sorry, guys, I'm paying attention to what people are saying in the comments, so I have a hard time doing two things at once.
No worries. But yeah, just in hearing about Betty and kind of like thinking about apostasy today, like Iliam, I would like, what would you like? Kind of, what was your reaction to that? It's like yet another case of this.
I mean, the thing that always stands out to me, and this is me speaking as a person living in North America, is I think a lot of people in the West, in North America, Europe, I don't think they realize the extent to which Islam still has this control over everyday people's lives and how institutionalized it is, because and this is a good thing. I think it's like a foreign concept to a lot of them, because in like countries like Canada, where I live, and other Western countries, this simply just wouldn't happen. But I think because they don't understand it, they don't hear about it, and B, they can't really relate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the other thing to keep in mind is that the Muslim experience in many ways is different when you're a Muslim living in the US or whatever, compared to being a Muslim in Morocco, because here they're the minorities, and yes, they're experiencing a lot of challenges related to that. But when they have a hegemony, when they're the dominant force, this is unfortunately what happens, because it's just infused into society, and where in a really tangible way, if you do something that criticizes Islam or goes beyond what Muslims are willing to accept, then you're a threat. You're like a direct threat to the state. You're the direct threat to the patriarchal structures, everything.
Yeah.
So some of the people in the West who have this, opinion on the other side of what we say here, some of it is a little bit of tribalism. Hey, you guys left your tribe, that shame on you. We left our tribe in a sense. And another part of it is, and this is unrelated to the first thing, like you'll hear people say stuff like, well, that's their culture.
No, that's exactly what it is. That's what you hear from people here in North America, especially.
Yeah, but the thing
way
is,
they do things.
But the thing is, there's babies born yesterday. It's not their culture. And there's ex-Muslims. It's not their culture. The point is, there's many cultures within the culture. There isn't one fucking culture.
Yeah.
And you can say the same thing about the West. You hear people say, or about America at least, you hear people say, they use these four terms: Judeo-Christian. They also say Greco-Roman. Okay, so the ancient Greeks, the Romans, the Jewish religion, I guess, and then the Christian religion. And they make it sound like, okay, they also say the words, we're a Christian nation. And you have atheists agreeing with that. They're saying because our morals come from Christianity. We're a lot more than just Christians over here. By this logic, then everything should be Christian. Our schools should just have Christianity and not allow any other religions, which some people say, by the way, in this country. So no, we don't want that. Every country in the world should be, all the religions are allowed to live in peace, and none of the religions control everybody.
Right.
Sounds simple, right?
Yeah. And morals, I see a comment that says morals come from religion. No, it doesn't. Humans have morals when they're born. Animals have morals. Like, please do a little bit of research into the science of humans and animals and their interactions and behaviors and where emotions come from. Like, it's not just because we are born to like believe, we're born and then we're fed this like information, that the indoctrination that happens, like religion is what's going to make you better. Allah is going to guide you to the right path. Prophet Muhammad's ways are going to make you a better person. Like, whatever excuse that we hear. And I think that's the sad part, is that we think like we're horrible people if we don't have religion. And I think that's the worst misconception, is that's why I think that's another layer of like hate that we experience, is because we're seen as such dirty, disgusting traitors, basically.
Amoral.
Yeah, exactly. We have no morals.
Yeah.
How like you'll hear people be like, oh, so you're just gonna go out and like kill people now? You're gonna go rape people? Like, no, like No, of course not. There's morals beyond religion. There's morals outside of religion. And it's just, I think that's the sad part, is that oftentimes, like, apostates, especially ex-Muslims, there's a study done in January, like 2021, by Humanist International, Humanist UK, that found, and I think they did like a survey of like nearly like 900 apostates across like 32 countries. And they found that apostates, especially ex-Muslims, reported significantly higher levels of abuse, harassment, violence from close family members compared to other non-religious people. Many respondents said that they faced emotional abuse, physical violence, forced marriage, death threats, right? All these things. And this is like an actual documented study that was done. So we actually do have some level of data that's telling us this too. It's not just our experiences. And I hope that, like, there's, you know, I'm glad internet is here in our day and age. It's helping.
Makes such a huge difference.
I
I don't know, Rami, if you've noticed this, or Haram, if you can track it through Instagram, but I know from my channel, there's a lot of people in the Middle East that watch my videos. And the statistic, I can't quote it accurately 100% because it was a long time ago that I saw it. It was something like Richard Dawkins, when he wrote The God Delusion, they translated it into Arabic and it got a huge number of downloads, like the Arabic version, because I think that curiosity is there. People, whether they're questioning Muslims or ex-Muslims living in the Muslim world, they want to explore the possibility that there's, you know, something beyond Islam.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool is, I don't know if you saw this, but just today, Ex-Muslims in North America, they launched a campaign here in the US where they put up a billboard that says, "Losing faith in Islam, ? You're not alone. 1 in 4 Muslims already have." And so if you go to the website, whynotislam.net, there's actually really good information about like these frequently and like secretly asked questions that Muslims ask. So it's really meant for questioning Muslims and ex-Muslims to have a resource, and really cheeky to have it be whynotislam.net. So I'm really glad that all of us are working together to help really kind of push back on the apostophobia and really be here to build a better world for our future generations, right? We're not, I don't know, we're not going to be here in the next 50 years, but
this won't be solved in that time either.
Right.
Yeah. So this whole project, everything we're doing has to outlive us, all of us.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I focus on, by the way, is how do I make this whole thing will survive. That means we have to be, you know, we have to be mentors to the next generation of people doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And you know, some of us are doing that. I know Ex-Muslims of North America has an incubation program. And I started talking to them. They're helping me improve what I'm doing.
Awesome.
They helped me connect with another organization, not related to ex-Muslims, but related to free religious issues, and to get incubation from them.
Yeah.
A lot of us need to be doing that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us have different ways of doing it, right? Like, Aleem, you're a video content creator. I just create doodles and I write things. And so, like, I think it's good that there's a diversity of the ways that we're approaching this. Because oftentimes, like, the human cost of apostophobia, right? When we kind of look at what happens socially, family-wise, right? Like the ostracism, disownment, all those things are going on. And then you have like all these people that are giving us the hate, the Muslims that come through. And it's really interesting and also just really sad to see how even the hate that was directed at Betty, it was sort of like amplified by society, right? That there's so many people that were calling for her arrest. None of them got punished. No one, right? No one faced any consequences for any of those violent threats that she got. And they were very violent and gendered threats, right? So the way we talked about, like, even ex-Muslim women experiencing something very different to what the guys experience. But just, it's really interesting to see how these legal and cultural forces like working together to silence her. For us, it might just be the cultural forces that are coming into our content. We might not be, you know, we're in a non-Muslim country, so we're kind of protected from that. But it's just, that's the heartbreaking thing, is that, like, Betty's case shows us like this gendered-based violence, but layered on top of all this like religious dissent and the punishments that come with it too.
Yeah,
So
it has a very scary power.
Yeah.
That's the thing
Yeah.
that makes me
Absolutely.
really nervous, is that this power exists in our world.
Right.
So should we talk about that now? How people, everyone watching, can what they can do to help Betty, help free Betty?
Sure.
Let me put that on the screen here. So, all right, Eileen, would you like to read that?
Sure. Ex-MuslimsInternational is launching a global campaign ahead of Apostasy Day, which is August 22nd, to hashtag Free Betty for Ibtisam Betty Lashkar, a feminist, atheist, psychologist, and longtime human rights activist who has been arrested for blasphemy by Moroccan authorities. She faces trial on August 27 for sharing a photo on X of herself in a t-shirt that read, "Allah is lesbian."
And that's
just
the
a
shirt
reminder, 2025, and this is what someone is being arrested and put on trial for. And yeah, we can see the picture if you're watching on screen right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Betty now sits in a prison cell, while thousands who issued death and rape threats against her online remain free. The decision to keep her in prison is particularly cruel given her fragile health. She's a cancer survivor. She requires consistent medical attention that can't be guaranteed in detention, placing her life in further jeopardy.
Yeah. And basically, Betty is being prosecuted for insulting Islam, a blasphemy charge that's rooted in Morocco's obviously like very oppressive religious laws, carries a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. Meanwhile, Morocco, homosexuality is also illegal under Article 489 of the Penal Code. It criminalizes it as lewd or unnatural acts between individuals of the same sex. And Betty's arrest is honestly a very grotesque violation of human rights and a chilling reminder of how apostates, atheists, feminists, and queer dissidents continue to be persecuted under the guise of protecting religion.
That's why on Apostasy Day today, this year, we are demanding Betty's freedom and calling for an end to the systemic apostophobia, criminalization, and violence against people who question, challenge, and leave religion. This is not just about a social media post or a t-shirt. It's apostophobia in action, and yet another religiously motivated attack on our collective rights to freely think, speak, and express ourselves.
So yeah, she's an amazing activist, co-founder of the Mouvement Alternatif pour la Liberté Individuelle, or Alternative Movement for my
It's a great French pronunciation.
Thank you. I took a couple years of French. Alternative Movement for Individual Freedoms. She's fought on the front lines for the rights of women, youth, LGBTQ, non-believers, and really for normalizing dissent, normalizing blasphemy, apostasy as forms of freedom and not crimes. So really her arrest is a very direct attack on all those values that we hold so dearly. But yeah, Rami, should we go to the slide where we can actually talk about kind of what folks can do?
I'm wondering which one that is. I think it's coming up after this one, I guess. This one.
There you go. Aline, do you want to take this one?
Let's do it. So if you want to take action on Apostasy Day today and beyond, okay, so this is what you can do. Demand the immediate release of Betty in Morocco by urgently contacting lawmakers, leaders, and change makers. Put international pressure on Morocco and theocratic governments everywhere to uphold human rights, not religious dogma. Coordinate and join protests at Moroccan embassies on August 27, which is the day of Betty's trial. Commit to secularism and push for an end to all apostasy and blasphemy laws everywhere. Share art, music, posters, and creative content on social media in support of apostasy, blasphemy, and Betty. Post a video with your message of solidarity with Betty, her incredible work with Mali, which she co-founded, and the human rights and freedoms she stands for. And lastly, end apostophobia. Visit and share aposttophobia.com.
And if you go to that website, you'll have all this again, so you don't have to remember what you have here. Some of this I'm not even sure how to do. I don't have much experience with any of these things. contacting lawmakers. So somebody in Illinois in the U.S. contacting who? Moroccan lawmakers?
And perhaps, right? Like, not everything is going to be relevant for every single one of us,
Yeah.
but pick one thing and do it really well, right? Like, if you can coordinate and join a protest at a Moroccan embassy on the 27th, do it. If you can also, like, even when election time is, for example, coming up in your country, start demanding, like, just even those sort of committing to secularism, push for an end to all those apostasy and blasphemy laws, right? Like, there's different ways of approaching this. And so do what feels right to you, but get the word apostophobia out, get hashtag Free Betty out there. Just, yeah, make sure that you can go to the Ex-Muslims International website, you can go to apostophobia.com, and all this information is there for you. So please feel free to share this out, share with folks today, and continue doing this.
And keep doing it until she's out, and we don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything else we'd like to talk about before we go to the next section, the discussion panel?
Yeah, I think honestly, I was just gonna say, I mean, we can definitely like wrap this up, but really, it's just sad that, Aleem, kind of what you were saying before, the most dangerous form of this sort of oppression, the apostophobia, is that state-sanctioned punishments that Betty is going through just for like belief and just for believing in freedom, really. And it's just really sad that if laws can, you know, get you imprisoned or get you killed for what you believe or don't believe, then we have to have these conversations about how do we make sure we build a world that's safe for people, that prioritizes their health, their well-being, their dignity and rights, right? Like, I think that's really all we want. Whether it's at home and with our own families, where for some reason we turn adult and apparently we can't make, even at that age, we can't make our own decisions. Because even a decision like leaving Islam is just such a huge, huge deal. And I don't think people understand the gravity of that situation. And so, yeah, we have to keep talking about it.
Yeah, the challenge is and has always been that at its core, what's happening is informed by Islam and what it teaches. And what it's going to come down to is that we're going to have to somehow convince a lot of Muslims to not follow their religion so much and as literally as they do all over the world. Because when you're talking to a lot of these Muslims who send you death threats and rape threats and all sorts of horrible things, in their minds, they might view you as a soldier. Haram doodles, you're a soldier of Satan. You might actually be Satan himself in disguise or possessed. I don't know, whatever. But I mean, we're joking right now. But when the problem is when people actually believe some variation of that, believe you're a sinner destined for hell, that's what we need to chip away at, to show that we're just human beings. We're just looking for dignity. We're just looking for freedom. And that's really where it starts. And again, that mountain to climb is, it's going to require a lot of Muslims to not believe in the religion as much as they currently do.
Right. And hopefully there's more Muslims that are open to the idea that people can leave and it's okay to talk about it, right? Like, I think just really hope
Yeah,
there's
that's the challenge.
Yeah, I hope that there's a larger middle portion of those Muslims across the spectrum that are like, it's okay. Like, and also, why are they so scared?
Yeah,
if you're so proud, if you're so confident about that religion that you believe in, why are you
makes
so
no sense.
scared
Yeah.
of a t-shirt, of a doodle, of a YouTube video? Like, just
Of a photo of someone wearing a shirt.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
How fragile can you be?
Yeah, it goes back and forth for them, I guess.
Yeah.
There's the vulnerability aspect you're describing, and also there's an anger.
Yeah.
How can you do this to us?
How dare you?
Dishonoring our tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So should we go to the discussion panel?
Yes, please. So you guys are going to be talking about how you're going to be ending or overcoming obstacles to end.
How me, you, and Aleem are going to do that. Yes. The three.
Us three.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move forward. All right, who do we have? Let me try to get everyone on here. Let's see. Yasmin, are you on? Oh, and we have Usama on. Hey, Usama.
Hey.
And we're still waiting for Rose. Rose, something's up with your device. Can you maybe leave and come back? And I don't know if she hears me. Let me message her. And it looks like she heard me. She just left. She's coming back.
Yeah, I saw her in the chat a couple of moments ago.
Yeah. So this discussion panel. Oh, by the way, we should have Wissam, but he said he might not be able to make it. And then so it would be just Rose as soon as she shows up, I think. Right? Let's see. Is she back on? No, not yet. Looks like some people here know you, Osama.
Oh.
I mean, you've been in this circle, what, 10, 15 years?
Well, I mean, if you look back at how the whole thing started, I mean, it's activism as such is something that might take on the form of public display, but it can happen also implicitly without an actual display.
Yeah. We fall into it by accident.
Yeah.
All right. So, Yasmin, your sound is not on. Yeah. Oh, maybe you intended that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I usually just have mine on. I mean, maybe that makes it so
I was making noise by my chair, so I thought to mute myself.
Yeah. So, and welcome, Rose.
Hi there. Sorry about that little glitch, but I'm here now, ready to go.
That's all right. That's all right.
Wonderful.
So today, I want to talk about, or we want to talk about, how do we actually fix and make progress on the situation that we're talking about here? Apostophobia, the laws around them. How do we get to a future state where these things don't exist anymore? And what are the main things that are the bottleneck towards that future? I have some stuff I could say around the question, or does anyone want to take the lead and start talking?
Well, maybe I can say a couple of opening things about the fact that when you look at the state of the laws that actually can be viewed as related to apostasy, it's actually a kind of an overlap between apostasy and blasphemy. You see that the charge of apostasy doesn't appear on its own. It's probably through a gateway that comes from blasphemy. So in many places, especially a place like Pakistan, for example, you see blasphemy laws as the main thing that gets implemented, and it's probably one of the places where these things get actually tried very often. You hear about so many cases that are in the news over there. But my point here is that there is a huge diversity in how these laws get implemented and get viewed in different places in the world. But there is a big commonality in almost all of them, and that's the fact that you basically see apostasy being implemented in places where there's a lot of Muslims. I mean, apostasy laws do come from origins that are not in Islam, and because the way that they have this kind of modern implementation, that's something that came through the West. And blasphemy laws as such, they don't exist in Islam before they were introduced from the West. But the surviving places where these laws are enshrined in so many different constitutional and actual courts, that's mainly in Muslim countries. So we have to make sure that this is actually understood, because we might say apostasy. Okay, someone is leaving some kind of a religion. Yeah, they're going to be facing some consequences, but the institutionalized consequences today are predominantly in Muslim societies. And that's probably something that needs to be emphasized when it comes to thinking about what is it that we're trying to abolish? Where is that going to be happening? And what forms of tools should be implemented? The uphill battle then follows from the fact that if you have these laws really connected to the religion of the majority, it's going to be extremely hard to tackle it and view it as a kind of a legal problem before it's a societal one that's related to culture. So there are several threads that are tangled here, but the main point is just so we understand that this is mainly a problem in Muslim majority societies.
If it's all right if I come in? Yeah, I think it kind of depends on how reliant you are on your families if you live in the West. So, for example, honor killings and honor abuse is quite rife in Muslim communities in the UK, for example, and places like the US. There was that recent case in New York where the Muslim girl was attacked by her parents in broad daylight and dragged. So I think it kind of depends how entrenched and dependent you are on your family and your Muslim community where you live. Because even in the UK, there are a lot of Muslims who fear repercussions about being apostates. And even in the UK, I remember a few years ago, about a decade ago, when Maryam Namazi started the Ex-Muslims of Britain, in 2007, she was astonished by how scared ex-Muslims were in the UK about being public with their apostasy. And it's not the same thing, but there was a gay Muslim man who was the first youngest gay Muslim man to be married in the UK, and the amount of abuse and threats he got on from his national TV appearances and from his marriage, it was really horrendous. And growing up, he was saying how abusive it was, where people would throw rubbish over his head and things like that. And that was just for being but that was for being gay. If you're an apostate, that is like you can imagine it. I know it would have the same effect. But being gay and apostate, that's another issue altogether, which is something else to go on to. But one of the areas that I wanted to come from with this topic was the fact that in the UK and in the US and in Europe as well, a lot of the gains that we have, a lot of the human rights and the feminist gains and the LGBT gains, they're very recent in our history. 1992 was when it was deemed illegal for a man to rape his wife, a husband to rape his wife in the UK. And similar, I think it was 1990 in the US, and similar really horrendous things like that were completely fine in in modern Western world. And so a lot of these things that we take for granted now, they are very recent gains from struggles and fights, and they are a lot of those things are under attack again, like we're seeing in America and in the UK actually, but I can go on to that afterwards. But I think this sort of like struggle for the freedom to be an apostate, for the freedom to be a woman, to be human even, it's a constant battle that I think we always have to have, unfortunately. But at times it will be easier when there's more of us and there's more freedoms, and at other times I think that will go away. But I was I was recently looking at the case of Peter Tatchell, who was a LGBT activist and a human rights activist in the UK, and for about 60 years now. And for most of the time that he's been an activist, he was persecuted and beaten and stuff like that. And now he's deemed a hero. And I was thinking about how this is very similar, hopefully similar to what's happening with Betty Lashkar, where at the moment, by a lot of people in Morocco, she's being deemed as a heretic and there's absolutely hated and stuff like that. But I think as time goes on, I think, especially with her being, unwell and a cancer survivor, and literally just wearing a t-shirt and getting all those threats for little activist things like that, just trying to be human. I think, there is hope that things will change, if that's why I was trying to bring it in. But yeah, the thing was that, the battle for human rights and apostasy rights is all a part of the same thing, and it's really important that we keep that together, if that makes sense.
Yes. I know what you mean. Yasmin, do you want to say something before I go into details?
Yeah. To change apostasy laws in countries, we need to have power. And power comes in several ways, like money or network, or to have a majority in the people themselves. So we don't have money. We don't have a political like nothing is not any party, left or wing or liberal or any party, would be interested in our rights politically. We don't have this network, we don't have this political power or political income or whatever. So all we have is people, is ourselves. And for me, also, this is more important than countries and states. And this kind of legitimization and stuff is the end of the road. It's not the beginning of the road. And even when someone is in danger from their families, that's people. That's not state. Sometimes the state doesn't really have the level of punishment that the family does to their children or siblings or sons or daughters or whatever, or their members. So from my perspective, to change these laws or to have our human rights acknowledged, we need to have more people. We need to talk and listen and be exist as a group. And surprisingly, I believe we will grow very fast, because in every country, because I visited many countries and I lived in many countries. I come from Egypt and now I live in Sweden, and in between I was in many places. It's always dangerous on different levels, and there is always someone in any school or music or conference or anywhere I went. There is always someone who's not convinced with these religious ideas, but afraid to say. And so when we pop up suddenly and we collect, we start to meet each other, we are creating power. And this is the beginning of the road, and thanks to the internet, because before that we would have never been able to do that. We don't have a sword, we have ethics. So ethics doesn't always make you strong. Yeah, that's it.
We have logic on our side.
Even that, it's not helpful. You need to be violent or rich, or you need to be friend with the president of some country, blah blah blah. Otherwise, your logic, you can put it in anywhere you like.
Well, maybe if I can follow up on this idea, I think the fact that we are now more visible than we have been, say, a couple of decades ago, or just a few years ago, is the fact that yes, there is now a kind of undercurrent that's happening in most of these societies that's enabling people to capitalize on just normal doubts that they have and typical questionings that might be very easily quelled had they been only thinking about them individually. Now, the fact that we have various platforms and ways of communicating, that's actually making it possible for people to say, well, it seems that I'm part of a group and that I'm not by myself. So what I want to say about our numbers, they're probably larger than they might seem on first glance because of the fact that now we have this kind of outward presence, and also you have this ability for people to communicate not within the usual channels that you have in society, but outside of that in a more protected set of channels like social media and so on. So when thinking about, well, we are by ourselves, the lawmakers are basically against us because they're reflective of what the general public wants to think about. That's true in principle, but in reality, we actually have a lot of moral support from a silent majority that I would say, maybe not a majority, but let's say that it's actually more than people think, because of the fact that the line right now is blurring between someone who might be just a devout Muslim who is adhering to the normal things that you would expect from Muslims to follow, and that line where they're becoming more open to thinking about other things. So definitely education, improvement in all sorts of living conditions have helped with that. So the more of that, the more of us we will have. But yeah, the point here is that I'm more optimistic about this improving gradually, but it's going to be an uphill battle. We shouldn't delude ourselves saying, oh, it seems that this is going to resolve itself by itself. Probably not. Over time, that might happen, but in the short run, there's a lot of action that people have to take in order to facilitate this to happen.
So if we have the mindset of it's gonna get fixed on its own, that's kind of like saying everyone else is going to do the right things while I sit on my ass and do nothing. That can't be the way we act going forward. And this isn't just a thing that ex-Muslims deal with related to apostophobia. It's a thing that like, okay, so I'm in the US. I don't know how it is in the rest of the West, but a lot of people here kind of just wait for others to fix things. Partly our system is kind of stupid. We have a republic instead of democracy. You know, a few politicians actually make the decisions. They make us think we can actually elect them and have a say in that. That's not really, that's all bullshit. What really makes shit change in the US, you could say politicians do a little bit of it. They kind of drag us into the future against our will. That does happen a little bit. I think what mostly happens is we, the people, drag the politicians towards us. And it's not directly even in politics. It's outside of politics. We do protests. Unless you count that in politics. I mean, we're just outside with fucking signs. We're not inside politics. The buildings voting, you know?
Yeah. I was saying it was people's politics rather than like the elite politics.
Right. It's not the official politicians, but it's us. And as an example, I haven't said an example yet, but all the things that happened in the civil rights movement that made a lot of change that ended up in the laws and ended up improving our culture. But all of that happened by the citizens, not by politicians. And the point is that has to happen everywhere. It has to happen in the Muslim majority countries too. That's and I think that's what Yasmin was saying. I think that's what Veiled Rose was saying. That the people have to fight. We can't just wait for our politicians to shape up. they really don't have an incentive to. They actually have incentives to keep shit the way it is. Maybe that all needs to change too.
That's why most Muslims ask us to stay silent. Like, if you don't believe in Islam, it's okay, you're free. You can be like an apostate, whatever you believe in, but why are you announcing this?
This is exact. Sorry, yeah, carry on.
Yeah.
I was going to say that is why they find women who speak out so scary, especially women like Betty Lashkar, because we don't just speak out. We point to the sort of like miscarriages of justice that they have, the criminal acts that they get away with, like their their child marriages, their domestic violence, and all sorts of things like that that are in their scriptures and stuff like that. And we say we've had enough. We're not putting up with it. We're not going to be gaslit anymore. And I think, and I think the other thing I found is that there is so many more of us that will be coming out. There was a journalist who approached me, and I was really surprised because I haven't met it until like the last few weeks. I haven't met any Bengali, Sylheti Bengali ex-Muslims from the region I'm from. In Bangladesh, and I was like, all of a sudden I've met so many. And she was doing interviews with various ex-Muslim groups and things, and one of them, Faith to Faithless, based in the UK, one of them was saying there's probably thousands of ex-Muslims, but because there's so much fear around it, you wouldn't know. But from the sort of like the calls that they get, because they run a helpline for ex-Muslims, or not just ex-Muslims, but anybody who's left a control, what are they called? A heavily policing religion, anyone who's left religion and facing apostophobia like we do, they've got a helpline for them. And one of the ladies who runs the organisation, Terry O'Sullivan, she was saying there's going to be thousands of ex-Muslims that are from just my sort of like community, and that was quite enlightening. But I think the more people like us, especially women, who show our faces and speak, it will encourage more other people to come. And then as you see more numbers coming out, you're going to be less scared. I mean, I'm planning on going to a protest on the 27th of August to support and ask for the immediate release of Betty Lashkar. A few years ago, I wouldn't have dreamed of it because I didn't know ex-Muslims were a thing. I just thought I was an odd one who was an atheist. Who had left Islam ages ago. But now, I went to a protest in November against the detention of Mahoud Aryai, and now sort of like I'm planning to go back to London, which is so far away from me, from the middle of the country to London. But yeah, I think hopefully we'll see more and more protests and things like that. I watch the ex-Muslims in Germany, and they seem to always have protests with Mina Hadi and people like that protesting in Germany, which helped to get rid of, I think, 54 Islamic State centers, Islamic centers in Germany, because they had connections with the Iranian state regime. So I think there's lots of little things like that happening as well that we don't necessarily aren't aware of. But yeah, I think the more we come out, the harder it will be for the people to ignore us, and the harder it will be for people like me to stay quiet, because I'm a really quiet, shy, anxiety-ridden person. But because I can't stay quiet when people like Yasmin, who been so brave, to come out and sort of like fight back, I can't just leave it to her. So, and people like yourself, so more people like us will come forward.
Well, I think this issue of visibility, especially for us who are able to be visible without direct consequences, that's probably one of the best ways to support the people who might not be able to do that, and to provide a kind of a face to those apostates that people fear so much, I mean, that whenever you think about any kind of phobia that is surrounding a certain group of people, it is very often because there is anonymity in it. Whenever you have people presenting something without showing who they are, without having that human connection where people can relate to you as a human, then it's possible. It's easier for the other side to demonize you and to view you as someone who is a threat, even though you might be just one of them, one of your friends who you don't know is actually an apostate. And so I think we who do have the ability to visibly act, we do have a kind of a responsibility to not only educate, but to show that human face and to let people know, yeah, we have left Islam, but we're still human beings. That this idea of becoming all of a sudden unethical. I think in the previous segment, someone said, well, morals come from religion. Well, that's a kind of an opinion that so many people have, but it's really an uninformed opinion that is just based on myth that can be very easily debunked if you look at just basic scientific ideas and basic philosophy. But yeah, visibility, I think, is something that's very important. And if we want to think about long-term action that would aim to abolish not the laws themselves, but the culture that supports these laws, being visible probably is going to be one of the ways to do it. Because imagine that you have maybe 100,000 people who have left religion in a given place. If these people are not visible, then at most, the people in the society who are opposing this whole idea would say, that's a minor aberration. These are just a few people who are really inconsequential. But once you show yourself as a major presence, as something of a group that should be reckoned with, then at that time, people, even if they disagree with you, they would at least give some weight to what you say. And I'm not saying that people who are in danger, who might be putting themselves physically in danger, should go out and do that. But people who don't, people who are able to come out safely and express themselves and talk about all of these taboo things, I think it's a kind of a duty that they should do it.
I wanted to disagree with one point you said. You said, okay, you said after we left Islam, we are still humans.
Well, that's an issue of interpretation.
What does that mean? We weren't humans before? What are you saying?
I don't want to say it, but yes. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I'm kidding.
Well, I think it's our humanness is what causes us to leave.
Actually, it's totally inhumane to stay in this religion.
Totally. Yeah, but I think that it's also important to also emphasize that while we are saying something of that sort, we're not criminalizing the people who are Muslims or who stay
Definitely
Muslims
not.
and choose to stay Muslims. The whole
I'm kidding. I'm just
no. I understand, but I think we discussed this before, Rami and I, that once someone leaves Islam, it's very often possible for them to turn back and maybe I wouldn't say necessarily turn against Muslims, but there is a kind of an animosity that is reciprocating that original one that's there. I think if we want to lead by example, we should refrain from that, and it's the other way around. We are their family. We are their brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers. we want to be a force that helps that society and not to antagonize it. One of the reasons that they fear apostates is that they think, well, you're going to create a kind of a movement that's going to destroy life as we know it, our way of life. Well, the point here is exactly the opposite. What we want is acceptance of the different. And once we have that kind of plurality within the society, then it's possible for us to all move together instead of feeling that we're against each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think as well, we've got to remember that religion and your mindset isn't something that's fixed like your skin color. It's something that can change as well. So just because somebody's a obnoxious, horrendous Islamist now doesn't mean they will be forever. And so when we're talking about Muslims, we have to be careful not to demonize them. But I think at the same time, we have to be practical in the sense that for ex-Muslims who are in Islamic countries now who are facing apostophobia, we've got to make sure that we're quite clear on acknowledging those risks as well, because a lot of ex-Muslims who are in those situations, they are ones who are being maimed, burnt alive, and all sorts of horrendous things like that. And they have to be so careful who they disclose their apostasy to, and it's I can't even imagine, because I've lived in the UK most of my life, and during times like Ramadan it was hard to pretend to be a Muslim and carry on fasting and stuff like that. But when you're in an Islamic country and everything around you and everyone around you is a Muslim, can you imagine having to deal with that? It will be hard for you to keep your humanity when you're surrounded by so much hate and so much fear as well. So I think it's kind of important that we don't become the monsters that we see, but at the same time we have to be honest about what we do see and be practical as well. And I think that's why I'm really proud to be a part of Ex-Muslims International. I've got the logo up there, because hopefully as we grow as an organization, we will have more and more time, people, resources to help Muslims who are in vulnerable situations in the Islamic countries, who are having to be hidden and stuff like that. So if people who are watching, who as well as subscribing and liking and following Uniting the Cult, which is an excellent organisation, if you guys want to sort of like get in touch or get involved with Ex-Muslims International and the groups that are affiliated to it, that sort of thing really helps to build our visibility and our coalition, because I'm a strong believer in, if you want something to change, or if there's something that hits you hard and really hurts and really makes you suffer, that you've got two options: lie down and take it, so to speak, or get up and fight back, and get organized and get involved with people who are doing similar stuff to fight back. I think that's well.
Yeah, if I may add and basically reinforce what you were saying, but there's also another perspective that also kind of gives the wrong impression of who ex-Muslims are and who are these apostates from a point of view of people in the West. Because when they see this kind of frustration that people who live in Muslim majority countries, but also even probably in Islamic communities in the West, when they see that they're lashing against Islam and they misconstrue that as if they were lashing against Muslims, they really have a total misunderstanding of what it is that these people are going through. And so getting out this and letting people understand, spreading awareness of the kind of hardship that people who leave Islam have to face, that's also a very important part of what needs to be done. Because if people think, oh, these ex-Muslims just have the luxury of just turning against their former religion and then becoming themselves bigots. That's actually not what's happening. There is nuance to what's happening, and there has to be an understanding of the details of the situation. And this would only happen if full cases are explained, if people have if people are able to see context. And so a case like, for example, like Betty's, with all the context, with the fact that she is not doing anything to harm anybody in any physical way or any other way, and on top of that, she is physically suffering as a cancer survivor. So showing all these details, humanizing the situation of these cases, should make some of the people who might have a different picture of this look at the perspective of where this is coming from.
I'd like to say some general comments about this whole topic. So there's many ways to say the same question. So another way to say it is, what potential improvement among all possible improvements is holding back the most progress toward ending apostasy laws and apostophobia? It's just wording it differently. Like, and I think what we've said so far is maybe we've been saying, I think, if you guys, hopefully if you disagree, let me know. The main obstacle is we're not acting. We, all the people. We as a collective are just waiting for our politicians to do it.
Rami, enough. The politicians never do anything.
Okay? So there you go.
Exactly.
Not just in USA, not just the
Yeah,
state.
so basically join EXMNA, join Uniting the Cults, join your local or national ex-Muslim associations, set up your own YouTube channels and or whatever, and get involved.
Somehow the UN and all those organizations, worldwide organizations, need to, and they are already involved. We need to connect with them better. I'm very new to this. I know our coalition is connected with like Humanist International and things like that. I don't know how much connection there is, because our struggle is yeah, it's kind of specific to just ex-Muslims, because no other countries punish anyone for leaving anything other than Islam.
Don't be
optimistic. It's just us. What is it?
Don't be optimistic. They have left-wing tendency.
Yeah, if I may say something about this political aspect of this, if we want to think about political change within Muslim societies, that's an extremely hard thing, especially if you're thinking about this from an American perspective, where you have where you have an electorate that's going to go pressure the lawmakers into making changes. That's not doable over there. The political action, however, can be a kind of a second order thing, where people in the West who are able to pressure their politicians might be exerting indirect pressure in various ways on those other places. And so if what was meant initially was political action within Muslim majority societies, I think, like Yasmin said, the politicians basically are essentially useless over there in that sense.
Yasmin, you wanted to say something? I could tell.
Yeah, human rights activists, UN or whatever you would think, or whatever organization you would think of, would totally consider us psychopaths or mentally retarded. I would explain why. Because they are not aware of our problems. They consider our problems exceptions. It's like,
so it sounds like we have to make them aware.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Exactly. We need to make them aware. They are very aware about Muslim people problems. They're very, very aware about Black people's problems. But when I approached them and I spoke about apostophobia, they really laughed about it because, like, Yasmin, this is already covered in the International Declaration for Human Rights.
Oh, they see it as past history.
Yeah, we already like the freedom of belief or the freedom of not belief is already in the Declaration of for Human Rights. So like it's like the joke was like it's like when lawyers want to have a law for lawyers, like lawyerophobia. Like I sounded this crazy for them because for them we are like it's like 10 people in the universe, 20, 40, 100 per 1,000 person in the like it's not something that we should acknowledge like homophobia or Islamophobia. So I really sounded crazy, and the tendency for those human rights activists worldwide is left, not right wing, and left wing is like a partner with Islam. They have like they share bed together somehow.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Very ridiculous relationship. I don't know where it's coming from unless it's because we are against capitalism. I don't know how it's connected to.
How do we turn that bed over?
Yeah. So yeah, we need to show up and like show like we are millions, and the Islamic rules or law or religion or Sharia or whatever its name is, the Sharia law is totally against human rights. You should not defend that because they are human rights activists. We should learn them, teach them that, and we unfortunately must be very quiet while doing that. Not like not quite like not speaking or speak with a low voice. I don't mean that. Like we should make us a fuss. We should show up, but we should not be angry. Somehow, we shouldn't be angry because if we're
You don't
angry,
want us to be angry?
no, because if we show emotions, they will not take us seriously. But if
You
we're
have
like
to seem reasonable, even if the situation you're in is unreasonable and infuriating, you still have to come across as reasonable, which is absolutely ridiculous. But yeah,
Is
I
this an
think
English thing? I know this about the English people. You're not
no,
supposed to show emotion.
somehow this is global. When you're talking about like amnesty or human rights or whatever, you're crazy. You need therapy. You have trauma response, whatever. If you have any kind of emotion, with these people you can use logic. Take it out of where I told you to put it in and use it. But yeah, but be wise and very grounded and speak. You know what you're talking about, and you show that you have many people like who joins you, agrees on this, and have the same problems. So like you have this mass, and human rights activists start to ask for your human right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they like don't make it. It's not something rare. It's not worth it. Otherwise, so don't be optimistic. That's what I wanted to tell you, so you don't get disappointed.
No, what you're telling us is exposing an obstacle I wasn't thinking of. There's a huge disconnect between the ex-Muslim human rights organizations and the wider ones.
Yeah, wider or whiter?
I think
both.
I meant it.
I think that gap is very slowly closing down. Because I remember Mariam Namazi saying that when she first started doing her ex-Muslim activism, when she went to organisations like the National Secular Society in the UK, they were very hostile. Not hostile, but they were very dismissive. And they've been at one of the main organisations who have been demanding the release of Betty Lashkar and stuff like that. So things like that are starting to change, but not quick enough as far as I'm concerned. And I know some of the people who are in EXMI have worked with and got some support from the UN. Again, I don't know enough to mention anything, but I know there is a little bit of work and stuff like that, and things going on. But I can maybe talk about that offline a bit more. But little progresses are made there. And Yasmin, you were saying about the left and how Islamists just seem like the same thing, and they're very much in bed. And I couldn't agree more. It is embarrassing. But I think that there's a few reasons for that, and I think one of the things that is really important to do is tackle that as well, because with the problems on the left, we've also got the far right who are they're against us as well. The far right, the white supremacist far right in the West absolutely hate us. They don't care that we're ex-Muslims. They still hate us because we're brown, because we are part of, to them we may as well be Muslims. But unfortunately there have been some ex-Muslims who have become so fed up with and so scared of the situation that they've sort of like gone across to the far right and started working with quite violent individuals in the far right and quite regressive individuals in the far right. And I think one of the other reasons why the left kind of want to associate with ex-Muslims is because the far right have capitalized on sort of like a lot of the ex-Muslim fears that we have. So they say that they're scared of Islam. We're scared of Islam, but we're scared of Islam because Islam kicks our butt and ruins our life. They're scared of Islam because they want Christianity pulling the roost instead, you know, and stuff like that. So I think it's important that we don't capitulate to sort of like the other side of sort of like the other type of fascists. You know, you've got Islamist fascists and you've got Christian fascists, and we have to make sure we don't like, or Hindutva fascists and stuff like that, and make sure that we are seen as sort of like standing for human rights consistently, no matter who the abusers are. So yeah, I think that was one of the things I wanted to point out. And the other thing as well is a lot of the left, they have a really patronizing view of Muslims, especially in places like the UK. I can imagine in the US as well, where they see all Muslim people as victims of racism, and like they're going to break, and they're like black, they're going to break if you dare criticize them or hold them to account in any way, shape, or form. It's absolutely ludicrous, because that is true. There is racism in the West against Muslims, but there's also a hell of a lot of protections in the West. There's a hell of a lot of protections in the West against racism that Muslims perceive. Whereas, you know, if you go to Islamic countries, the minorities there do not have any protections at all in the law. But that's not to say it's right. I've forgotten what I was going to say. I've really forgotten. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might come back to you.
Yeah. I'll let somebody else carry on. I've forgotten what I was saying.
I wanted to do an example of what Yasmin was saying, or and see if this is the kind of thing she was talking about. She said, according to them, we can't show our anger or something like that. Would you say burning the Quran is an instance of showing our anger?
Yeah.
And they don't like that.
Some of them, no. Most of them, no.
Right? I mean, what they like recently, who was the guy recently who I think he was murdered?
Salwan. Yeah, he was
heard,
in Sweden, where I live. Yeah.
I heard some of the reaction was, well, you knew that was going to happen. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it happened.
That's just blaming the victim, though, isn't it? I mean, it's like telling a woman what to dress provocatively so she doesn't get harassed. But if there's a book that's saying that we should be unalive, that we should have stones thrown at us, of course people are going to be angry and react to it. The book itself is sort of like inflammatory. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. I would explain this. They didn't have problem with burning the Quran before. Before 20 years ago, for example. It's okay, no problem. They have this kind of freedom of expression. But when this started to create problems for them, when Muslim people started to make violent reactions, they started to hate burning the Quran. Mostly when they are angry with us because we express our emotions, is because they have to pay the price for that. I would give it to you in a capsule. The right wing don't want the ex-Muslims or the Muslims. They don't want both. And when we fight each other in their country, they want us both to go back to our country and fight each other in our homeland. And the left wing want to win the elections. The agenda of the left wing is humanitarian, is supporting minorities, is not against racism, we love everyone, whatever. And like we support LGBTQ and Muslim people and any minority. So this agenda for the left wing, they are very keen on like reflecting this image, because there's big numbers of people who would elect them for this agenda. Many people would elect them because they protect the rights for Muslim people and LGBTQ and so on. So if we have many votes, if we are big in number, they would decide to include us with Muslim and LGBTQ. That's for the left wing. We are a minority, and we are useless in the elections. So they don't care about us, and they care about the Muslim people who practices apostophobia against us, because they really don't care about human rights. They care about the group of people who have more votes in the elections.
Right. If I may, if I may add to this, if you look at just the sheer number of when they're comparing the number of Muslims and the effects that this might have had. For example, in the case of the burning of the Quran, there was recently in the UK, I believe, Hamid Koskon, who burned the Quran and was actually indicted in court for that. That's actually a really major thing. This is not something to be trifled with. It's setting a precedent for what could come next. If this is something that should be legal, and now even though this wasn't exactly the charge that he was charged with, it's still something that is very important, that's very severe. So yes, they do listen to large numbers. I can also attest from our own experience on social media platforms, and how a few years ago, maybe it's the landscape today is somewhat different, but what happened then was they would consider criticizing religion as a kind of an attack on identity. And this was especially enforced because you have a large number of people who would connect, for example, Islam with their identity. And who would be the people that are going to be victimized directly by that? Anybody who's criticizing the religion. So this means that freedom of speech, basic freedoms like someone who was protesting their anger, burning the Quran, this is something that gets criminalized, gets basically backing down on some of the basic rights. This is also the same thing that we have seen throughout the previous decades. The satanic verses, the Charlie Hebdo cartoons, the Danish cartoons, and so on. This is eroding some of the really basic fundamental principles on which Western society is built. So having a kind of a counter narrative for people who would have an alternative idea, saying that this is not a kind of a monolithic society where everybody believes that so and so is true about Islam, that there are alternative ideas, alternative opinions, alternative positions that might help with mitigating the current situation.
This talk has been great. We barely touched on things. I did learn a little bit already, but I want to say something general, more general than before. Even we need to keep asking this question, like, what's the main obstacle? Because for one, we need to check our assumptions, and two, the environment keeps changing. So whatever the correct answer is today, it might be different 10 years from now, or 1 year from now. So we have to keep having this kind of discussion. And I guess we'll do this same thing next year at the same time and other times. We can't do this just once a year, of course. Do you guys have any more to say about this before we go on to the next section?
Well, I think building on what you just said, we're going to revisit this next year, but in the meantime, we have a full year that should be building towards that. There's so much that can be done, and this idea of infusing the importance of what it means to be affected by apostophobia, what it means to actually face the consequences of that, and how that might be countered. I think that's a kind of an ongoing effort that everybody should be participating in throughout the year.
Yeah, and also we have December, the awareness month of ex-Muslims. We should do that. And me and Rami were also discussing making like kind of weekly live discussions and talks with guests and people. So that's also a probability that we'll start doing soon. Because 1 year, once a year is nothing, of course, and even 1 month a year is not enough. Yeah.
It needs every day, all of us.
Exactly.
And and part of what happens here is we said a lot of things. Everyone here is gonna be thinking about this in their sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. It's sinking into your subconscious. That's part of the point of this. So it can be all the time.
That's true. Yeah.
Reach out to us. Whoever's watching, if you want to.
Especially start to have people joining us from the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And starting your own channels, and we'll help you.
Yeah.
Can I just say as well, when a good example of ex-Muslims getting together and fighting back is the people of Iran, and I can't imagine just how horrendous their situation must feel, but they keep fighting back regardless. And I don't know if people have been aware, but they had in some of the cities, they've had water shortages and electricity blackouts and things like that. So some of those protests have started to become even more fervent, and they're demanding more and more change. And they've constantly been on, since the beginning of the Iran Revolution in 2022, they've continuously been fighting back. And, I think going back to the question of the left, I think it's criminal that the left wing in the West have not supported what is going on there, because if anywhere is going to change the landscape of Islamic countries and what it means to be ex-Muslim in the world, I think Iran is going to be a big factor in that. And people can see the actual effects of the economic and tangible effects of Islam when they see how, the Iranian regime is incompetent at running the country. But it's similar in Afghanistan, where pensioners are protesting because they're not getting their pensions. And then if you look at the misogyny in Islam, and then you look at the fact that wherever in the world you have equal access for boys and girls in education, women are out and girls are outperforming in sciences and everything generally across the board. So it flies in the face of Islamists. So much is stacking up against their BS, and just to say that actually ex-Muslims were right to hate Islam, and stuff like that. But I just had to bring in Iran, and didn't mean to change the topic.
Iranian people are leading the fight in all of this, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yasmin, did you have anything? Oh, you actually already had. Anyone have anything left to say before we go to the poetry reading?
No, thank you. Thank you for hosting me,
Thank
Rami.
you.
All right.
Organizing all
Thanks,
that.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, let's see. All right. Haram Doodles.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
Again, I mean. And actually, thanks for, this hasn't been said yet. You did a lot of the work for this whole program. Thank you so much. It was really amazing.
Yeah, and
no one got to find out it was you because it's all behind the scenes.
No, it was really a collaborative effort. Thanks to you, Yasmin, with the amazing graphics for End Apostophobia. Just everyone jumping in. It's been amazing. Rose, Osama, Secular Spirit, all the folks. Thank you.
For sure. And a lot of people who weren't able to see any of this, organizing all of this has been a lot of help. So do we want to do the poetry reading now?
Yes, please.
Let me see. Here it is. Okay.
And we actually have our poet in chat, Young Atheist. He's a Pakistani ex-Muslim. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your poetry for Apostasy Day. I'm just going to go ahead and read it.
Cool.
And yeah, okay, so let's do this. Apostasy Day, a voice unbound by echoes of an ex-Muslim. On this day, a voice is heard, not clothed in chains, nor hushed by word, a soul that dared to stand and say, I choose my path, I walk my way, not out of hate nor bitter flame, but seeking truth none else could name. In quiet thought or fiery storm, a mind broke free from binding form. They called it sin, they called it shame, but still it burns a living flame. For every heart that dared to stray from written law or ancient way. Apostasy, they said with scorn, but some are rebels just by being born, not lost, not damned, not led astray, just walking towards another day. So let us not condemn or fear a voice that rings so strong, so clear. For thought is free and hearts must be to question, seek, and simply see. Today we speak for those who died, for choosing truth they could not hide. And those who live in silent pain, let not their loss have been in vain. Oof, I have goosebumps. Thank you so much. Thank you, Young Atheist. Thank you just for your poetry. Words have a lot of meaning, language matters, and just like really cool to see this come through. So thank you for your submission.
Yes, thank you. Young Atheists. Yes, it was really good.
And thank you for allowing me to read it. It's such an honor.
And you read it really well.
Thanks. And honestly, the design here, I see this in chat, it's all Yasmin. So thank you, Yasmin, for all the work that you've put into designing all of the Arabic fonts, the illustrations, all of it. It's awesome.
And you know what? It's so awesome. One of the things she made. Can we go ahead and just play it now again?
Yeah.
It's really cool. Let's see. How do I do this? Let's see. Here. That's so amazing.
Amazing.
To be involved in a project where that kind of stuff is happening, it's really cool.
We've got a bunch of talented people here. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Visual and audible talents. Yes, it's so cool.
And thank you, Young Atheist. Seriously. Thank you for letting me read that.
Yeah, and you know what? The way this was described to me was, the reason we need to do something like this is these people can't speak for themselves. So we're being their mouthpiece.
Yeah. Yep. And it's nice to be able to share folks' stories and be able to get their stories out and their thoughts and experiences out too. So
yeah. So I wonder if we could get more of things like this.
Yeah.
I guess you already do a lot of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right? And I think Veiled Rose, Faithless Hijabi, they're doing a lot of like this kind of work too by sharing poetry from Young Atheist, just other folks that have a passion for writing. It's a really great way. Like we have a lot of different outlets to get that, get the kind of content out there. So
now your one of your earliest things was, it's also in your name, Haram Doodles. You make doodles about haram things. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
Basically,
Is that it?
yeah, it's all the forbidden stuff that we can't draw, right? So like drawing Prophet Muhammad, drawing all the things about Islam, drawing all the experiences that we have with Muslims and Islam. So just, yeah.
And is it true that people also send you like requests with ideas and then you?
Yeah.
That's cool. Hopefully I have an idea.
Oftentimes-
I'm going to send it to you one day.
Sure. Oftentimes, a lot of my doodles actually come from other ex-Muslims that give me these ideas. And so that's really cool that I'm able to collaborate with a lot of folks. But yes. And yes.
Young Atheist says, I would love to join a stream like this in the future. So let's make that happen. You know, Yasmin and I, we just said we're gonna try to make this happen, a weekly live stream. But there's already a live stream you could be joining on this channel. Me and Usama do one every week on Friday at 1 p.m. Central Time, which was an hour ago, right? Or half an hour ago.
And Rami, can folks join if they don't want to show their face or?
Yep, you can be anonymous. And, you know, it helps to put some sort of picture and then that'll be your avatar. Yeah, that's helpful. This is, by the way, you guys have all been talking to my mother.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. Hi. Hi, Mom.
You didn't say anything weird. Yeah.
So cute. Aw.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you for hosting this, Rami, too, just organizing and,
yeah,
you know, leading this. So
I want to do it every year, at least for this particular day. I want to help with all the days, even if I'm not hosting. Yeah, this was a lot of work to do this.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much
I'm
work.
glad it came together, and it's been really great.
Yeah. And it'll be easier next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we go to the poll section?
Go for it.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you.
All right. Let's see. Do we have Secular Spirit, Alim?
Yeah, that was great. I just put a pause button. I was just sitting here waiting to be reactivated.
Oh yeah.
So I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first time doing it. We were a little bit clunky in the beginning, and maybe clunky with the poll question because I'm not even really sure if people really got a good look of it. There was so many comments. My comment was just in the middle, buried with all theirs.
Well, maybe I think you can pin your comment if people just want to vote.
Do you have to do that inside of YouTube, or can you do it inside of StreamYard?
I think you got to do that through YouTube.
Okay,
if you go to the live chat, you just scroll to your comment.
You got to make sure you don't accidentally hit play or it's playing. You know, now you got audio from both. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way it works is you next to each comment you'll see like 3 dots over each other, and then that will give you the option to pin it. I think that's how it works. But anyway, I can reread the question. Some people did vote, and I voted as well, so I can read the results from that.
Sure.
Maybe we can give people a minute to.
Please, I'm gonna let me post it again then. Please, everyone, go answer the poll question. I'm gonna put it in the comments again. Here we go. Oh. There we go.
There it is. You can vote now, and I will read the question and your options one last time. So the question was, if God is real, would it create hell for those who leave the faith? Option 1 was yes, fear prevents people from sinning. Option 2, no, infinite punishment for finite crimes is unjust. 3, no, freedom of belief shouldn't be punished. And 4, no, hell is a scare tactic to silence dissent. 5, all of the above. Kidding. That wouldn't make sense. So what would you vote? I know that you said that you would pick multiple things, but if you had to pick one, what would you pick?
Yeah, well, let's criticize the crap out of the question itself first, right? So if God is real, would it create? Notice I put it, not he and she.
I did notice that. Yeah.
That's important to distance myself from the misogyny of my country and stuff like that. and like the Abrahamic religions too.
Yeah.
Would it create hell for those who leave the faith? This is already assuming there is a faith, like a organized religion, right? Couldn't there be God
Yeah,
without an organized religion?
possibly.
Would
If
there
you're a
be a God without an
if you're a
organized religion,
deist,
but
for
also be a hell?
example, well, you'll always have those people who are like, well, the universe is God, and so
Yeah, yeah, and but the people that say that, first of all, they have a totally different conception of what God is,
very different. Yeah.
and they're basically just saying, I mean, that's just the universe. How is it the God then? If God is the universe, then it's just the universe.
Then you're God. I'm God. We're all God.
Yes.
It's very much blasphemy if you're a Muslim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the other the other thing about the question too is you might say, like, some might argue that it's framing this position that God is the one who's putting you in hell when it's you're doing it. You're putting yourself in hell.
Yep.
It just happened to be that he created it, but that doesn't mean that he's responsible for you being in it. You are responsible for being in it.
Yeah, it's not.
And
his
then
fault
you're going
he
to find
made
the
rules
people
that way.
who don't believe that hell is an actual thing, and it's just this eternal separation, a state of mind,
or a metaphor just to keep us in line.
Yeah. Then there's the metaphor people. Yeah, a true loving God would never actually put people. If we were to truly, thoroughly do this poll question, we'd have to give like 20 options.
Oh yeah.
For both the yes and the no.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't even know how to do it. This is really just to help us talk about it.
Yeah, and these I would say are the most common common positions that I think a lot of people would have, particularly for people who are believers that fear prevents people from sinning. And the idea is, if you don't have that threat hanging over people's heads, then what's stopping anyone, as we were talking about earlier today, stopping people from killing, what's stopping people from stealing and doing all sorts of horrible things? And it's this whole mindset that you need to be watched and you need to be punished, or else doing the right thing or doing the kind thing, you just wouldn't do it. Like we're just intrinsically awful beings and we're just going to do all sorts of horrible things.
All right, so how do we deliver the poll results? Like, there's not even a good way.
I'll read them. I can see them.
Just read them
here. Yeah, so we'll go one by one. So 9% said yes, fear prevents people from sinning. 18% said no, infinite punishment for finite crimes is unjust. And then 9% said no, freedom of belief shouldn't be punished. And then the winning option, and this is what I voted for, is number 4 with 64% of the vote. No, hell is a scare tactic to silence dissent. And this is the real genius of how some organized religions work. If you dangle this threat of hell and you teach people from the moment that they're little kids that this hell is real, it's going to really reduce the chance of you leaving. And it's going to really reduce the chance of you questioning anything the religion teaches, but also, just as importantly, that the religious figures in your society, whether it's if we're talking about Islam, whether it's your imam or even in some cases your ruler, your leader, like let's talk about Iran, for example, or maybe even just the patriarchal figure in your family, you're not going to disobey them because you're afraid of going to hell. You're going to do what they say. And I genuinely think that's what keeps a lot of people, a lot of Muslims believing that threat of hell. They might not think about hell every day, but it's in there. It informs their thoughts.
Let me adjust how you said it. Assuming it's the same. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said the fear of hell keeps them believing. I think maybe it's better to say it keeps them in Islam, even if it's not believing. Because they'll say things like, I really don't believe in Islam, but I'm going to play this out acting as if I do so that I avoid hell.
You're right. I would actually say, though, that's a second category. So those are the people who basically they are non-believers. Like they don't believe it within themselves, but they're just still practicing and still doing things with their family, so on and so forth, because
they're going to trick Allah.
I know, and in that way, it doesn't really make sense. If you truly believe, part of you truly believes that this Allah exists, but yeah, that's the classic Pascal's.
By the way, according to Islamic theology, is that really tricking Allah, or Allah wants you to do that? To fake it?
Well, I wouldn't say Allah wants you to fake it, because the truth is within you, and if there's anything that's denying that truth that's within you, then you're misled,
but-
then you're lost.
Yeah, okay, there's believing in it and you're going to heaven and doing all the things. There's not believing in it, but don't be an apostate, because then you avoid hell. Then there's the rest of us not believing in it and openly saying we're apostate. So isn't that middle option, isn't Allah, according to Islam theology, saying, yeah, go ahead and fake it? That's better than being an apostate.
I would agree with that, but I would also say that I don't think Allah would be very happy if you're just praying 5 times a day and you don't actually believe that He's real. It might do you more good than us who aren't praying at all, I suppose. But in all these things, Allahu A'lam.
Yeah, but you're in that sentence, you're basically saying, if Allah was real, this is how He would be.
Yeah, I know. I'm already blaspheming by saying that if in the beginning.
Well, the point is, you're putting your own thinking in there about the conception of God.
Inevitably, I would say, for anyone, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, that is something you have to do anyway if you think.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there could be a dog Muslim.
a dog Muslim. Oh, okay. He said it, not me. Go after him.
A dog that's a Muslim, they're not thinking. I don't know. I could have blasphemed against animal lovers just there. I don't know. Dogs do think. Don't go after me. Okay.
Oh, we got a couple more votes, by the way. So the percentages have changed. So it's 60% now for hell is a scare tactic to silence dissent, and only 7% now believe that.
Yeah, the other one went down.
Yeah, it went down. That fear prevents people from sinning, and that's why we need.
So
hell.
the right one went down.
From our perspective, I guess.
The worst wrong one also went down. So for me, I guess, I mean, all of these make sense to me. The no's, I mean.
The no's, yeah.
I never used to use this argument. I'm the whole, all of our would-be crimes are finite crimes. And so any punishment, if punishment is righteous, shouldn't be infinite. It should be close to the same level of severity. That's the way we think of things. That's how the U.S. works. Some of our laws say something like that. The punishment has to be kind of equal to the crime. I think that makes sense, but I go deeper than that. I say punishment is wrong in general. There shouldn't be a hell at all.
If you're just doing punishment for the sake of punishment, the whole idea is that you're supposed to rectify and rehabilitate, right? Ideally. Yeah,
so my conception of what prison should be, and this is not just fairy tales. There's countries actually doing this. Okay, I think is it Sweden that is doing it the best. The prison systems, it's not for punishment; it's for defending society from the criminals and rehabilitation while they're there. That is what is going to do the best thing. If I understand correctly, their prison population is going down.
So what you're saying now is that Sweden is doing a better job than Allah. Oh, just digging your grave.
I thought you were going to say the U.S., but yes.
Well, them too, yeah.
I'm guessing you're from Canada. Canada does better than the U.S. in the prisons, right?
I think anyone does better than the U.S. when it comes to the prisons.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Our prisons are pretty bad. It got privatized in the 80s. That's when things got way worse.
Mm-hmm. And like the other option I would have added, and it would bring up the whole free will debate, is if God was real, that He wouldn't create hell, because He created you, and if He created you and you sin, then it's kind of on Him because He's the one who created you. So it would be weird to punish your own creation for doing the thing that you created it to do.
So you're saying if Allah is real, what He would have done is sent Himself to hell because we all fucked up.
or I don't know, maybe just not have a hell period. It is weird if you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful God to then believe that this, and all-loving too, by the way, that this God would then send his creations to hell, whether it's for eternity or not, depending on which theist you're talking to.
And it's a man-made conception that men man-made. I wonder if women actually never were involved in this. I don't know, but you know, adults did it to kids first. The way a lot of parents treat their kids is, you know, I love you, but sometimes I'm going to be angry to make you go, I don't know, to keep you in line, and it's out of love, is what they say.
It's out of love, yeah.
But I don't agree that part of it is love. I think that part of it is hate.
It's hard to say. I mean, you'd have to put yourselves in yourself in their minds.
Well, you can give an extreme example. I think you will agree with me if I give you the example.
Okay.
So let's just take a man and his wife, and he's beating the shit out of her. And while he's doing it, he's saying, you know, something like, I love you. Don't make me angry because then I have to hit you. That's the conception I'm thinking of. What do you think of that scenario? Would you say there's hate in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I would say there's some like self-deception too, right? That you're doing this out of, like, if you're actually believing that about yourself, then there's something really horribly wrong. And that's sadly true of the way mainstream Islam functions in the end, when you have this, you know,
and so
I love you, but I'm willing to send you to hell forever.
Yeah. And so maybe one way to look at it, I'm sure some people might be looking at this and saying, well, that guy who's beating his wife doesn't really love her, or doesn't love her at all, or something like that. Maybe there really is some love in there, like proper love, but it's being infected by all the hate, and the hate comes out a lot more than the love. You know, people say love-hate relationship, and in this case, it's a lot more hate than the love. Like, we need to be able to do something. It's all love, no hate. I don't know how to get that message across besides little stuff like this.
That's all we can do. Yeah. The thing that scares me is that I know this for a fact, and like, you know, anecdotally from my experience, that a lot of parents are completely on board with this idea of scaring their kids with hell, because it keeps them in line, and it makes them think, okay, now my kids won't do things like, you know, killing and stealing and all that, and they'll obey me. And so, as a tool of control, I think the reason why it's been, to add to what you were saying earlier, why it's so predominant is because it really does work. It's like very effective. It keeps a lot of people in line.
In line with that, you know, you hear, and maybe not so much today, maybe more like 30 years ago, you would hear Americans say things like, there's a very concise, short saying, but I don't remember it. I'll say it the long way. If you hit your kid once hard, you don't have to hit him again later, because you've instilled fear in them now. And their conception, what they're saying is, I'm not going to beat my kid all the time. I'm just going to do it once. Really,
I'm going to make it count.
Make it count. Awful. I don't have to do it again later. Now, using the hell concept, that's like saying, look, I don't want my kid to be scared of me, so I'll have this imaginary thing to scare them, and I can look like the savior, protecting the kid from hell. Yeah, but really, they're the ones who just kind of, there isn't one. It's just them. And you know, while you're a kid, your hell is just your parents. You know, it's just your family. That's depressing.
Great way to end the stream. Well done.
Yeah, we have to end with something else. What's something funny we can talk about?
I'm drawing a blank now. I do see. I just want to say hello to Gerwalk, who's a longtime follower of my channel in the live chat. Hey Gerwalk,
yes.
How's it going?
Yes, Gerwalk. Thanks for being here, and yeah, thanks for helping out with my channel too. He's been here last couple of weeks.
Oh, Gerwalk's great. Yeah,
been very helpful. Yes, thank you. You know, I wanted to do a comedy section, and then kind of didn't, just because I'm afraid of copyright taking down. So I don't know how it works well. One time I had a live stream get paused for a few minutes while I played something.
Really?
I don't know how it works. So no comedy unless we do the comedy. But I'm not a comedian. My
Neither
comedy comes
am
out by
I.
accident. You know. So
Yeah, if the last 5 minutes is anything to go by, we're definitely both not the comedians. Talking about hell and suffering and beating your kids. You were actually the one who was talking about beating kids, not me, to clarify.
And beating wives. I've mentioned that.
That was you as well, yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting all the blame. Okay, that's fine. I'll take it. All right. Well, you know what we should do real quick? I didn't say we're going to do this, but I think we should. Some of the comments that I couldn't address but are important. Mirial, Mirial, I don't know how to say that. Sorry. Could anyone involve Young Humanists into this? Is that an organization, Young Humanists? I guess.
It rings a bell, but I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Okay, maybe somebody who's listening who knows could tell us right now. Akil says, "Why apostates should speak more for Palestine? We apostates should speak more for Palestine and against religious fanaticism." I'm actually going to a event in my little town, Peoria, Illinois, September 5th, organized by a local organization, Peoria for Palestine. So I am doing that, and I'm gonna somehow try to connect it to this channel and things like that. Actually, Alim is Palestinian.
I am, yeah.
Yep.
I am, yeah. Like one of the things that I try to talk about the most when it comes to Israel and Palestine, even though it's like not quite related to the subject of my channel, is that there's a lot of attempts to frame Israel and Palestine as like a purely religious or a primarily religious thing, and it's not. What we're seeing here is one group that colonized the land of another group through violence, through political means, through economic means. And yes, religion is a factor in it, but it's not the primary one. And by dismissing the Palestinian cause for just having, rights and maybe their own homeland or just more rights within an Israeli state, by just dismissing that as, they're just targeting Israel because they're Muslims and they hate Muslims. They hate Israelis because they're Jewish, and that hate comes from Islam is like a massive oversimplification.
It's also a story
what's going on,
pushed by them, the pro-Zionists.
Oh yeah, of course, because then you see what they're saying, and then you think, oh well, like they're Islamic extremists who just want to erase Jewish people because they hate them because they're Muslim. So when you look at it that way, you're forgetting all the other things that are happening.
And the idea that it's a colonial project, the people who made Israel said that. We're just repeating what they said. We're not using language that they're not using. Maybe they don't say that today, but they've been saying it since the 1850s or 80s. I don't remember when, like the concept of Israel,
1880s, 90s, around
1880s, then, something like that. And it's in the UK and the US. That's where it started, and it's just kind of like what the US has been doing for the past couple 100 years against the indigenous people here. A little bit different stuff going on, but overall same kind of thing. A little bit different tactics, same overall strategy.
The same idea of trying to erase the legitimacy of the other side's argument or cause.
Yeah, when you say things like even the babies are Hamas, there's people saying that.
That's the problem when you're saying that kind of thing. You got to look at yourself and think what's happening to me? What has happened to me? How did I become so lost? How did I end up in this position where I dehumanize others?
And they think that about us. They think we're insane. I think mostly they ignore us. They're not really listening to us.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. And what sucks is I think this is just a pure guess, educated guess. There's more propaganda around Zionism than any other topic.
I don't know about more, but there's definitely a lot. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Mirial says again, what do you think the situation of ex-Muslims will be like in the next 3 years?
That's a big one. Depends on where you're talking as well. I think it varies from country to country, to be honest.
Which one do you think will change the fastest? Do you think it's Iran?
Iran is a big one that could change very quickly. Like the political situation could change there very quickly. Maybe even Turkey to a certain extent as well, because I know it's
who
becoming.
Do you think is going in the wrong direction? Like Syria, maybe?
I don't know what's going on in Syria. It's a complete mess. I do think that it's going in the wrong direction in some pockets of the Western world, and I think it's like a reaction against globalization, against feeling disenfranchised as an immigrant in a Western country. And so what do people of a Muslim background do? They become even more religious. So I think we're seeing that in different pockets, and I think that explains the popularity.
How small are these pockets? You mean little towns or like a whole country?
Well, it would be Muslim communities within different cities, different towns that collectively are actually a lot of people. But I think that's why you're seeing the popularity of people like Muhammad Hijab and what's the name of the other one, Daniel Hakikachu, because they're really resonating with a lot of people, a lot of young Muslims that feel disenfranchised, and then they see these I guess you could call them alpha male figures, and then it draws them more into Islam than would have been the case otherwise. So overall, though, I think ex-Muslims are just going to keep gaining more and more visibility over the next 3 years. I don't know how much of a big tangible difference that's going to make overall in such a short time period, but it's definitely trending towards more visibility and more acceptance than in the past couple of decades.
What do you think? What effect do you think AI will have, or AGI, or if we don't have AGI, whatever current state of ChatGPT, and in the next 3 years, how do you think that will help or affect? Will it make more Muslims, more ex-Muslims?
I really don't know. That's how I feel about AI in general. It should lead to some good things, some bad things.
So you don't know if we're gonna have the Terminator style ending, or what's the opposite of that? I don't know. Star Trek, I guess.
Star Trek, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Probably something in the middle.
Something in the
That's
middle.
usually how I feel about those things. Yeah.
All right. How can we repeal blasphemy laws? Will international pressure help? But how do we get that support in the first place when there is no representation for us? Well, September 30th is Blasphemy Day. Right after this, we're gonna start talking about what we're gonna do on that day. That is one little thing. In there, we'll say a lot more about what needs to be done. I think in some ways it's very similar to what we're talking about already for Apostasy Day. Because they're the same thing. Blasphemy laws are because of apostophobia, right?
Yeah.
How can we encourage people to come out? How did you yourself do it? Where did the courage come from? I would lose my family, but I don't care about Muslims I don't know.
It's really tough because it depends on your specific family situation or where you live. I would actually advise, if you live in a Muslim majority country, and especially one where leaving Islam, apostasy does have, there's laws against it, maybe it's best idea to not come out, because it could really endanger your own safety. I would say do it if you know that you're going to be physically safe and you're also financially independent. So you're not relying on, let's say, you're still religious parents for financial support. But otherwise, exercise caution.
Yeah, the people I worry about are the very young people who just became ex-Muslims, and maybe they are a little bit confident, let's say, because they're seeing what we're doing, and it could get them into trouble. I don't know how to talk about that. For me, it was easy to come out. I wasn't worried about what my family's going to say. I don't know a lot of Muslims around me. It wasn't really an issue for me. Yeah.
It was definitely safer for me as well, just because living in Canada.
Yeah. Well, and I'm guessing for you, it's probably like me. I mean, you see your family as pretty liberal. You didn't see your family as a threat to you.
Yeah, the my immediate family is pretty liberal. It's more my what's the word I'm thinking of? My extended family that's more religious.
I'm gonna go back to this one. The scene says, if there is a God, then it must be a he. No woman could or would fuck things up this badly. George Carlin.
Didn't know that one.
I didn't know that one either. It's funny. And it's kind of like and it's not even just funny. I think there's some truth into that. I think if women were running the world, the leaders, we would have either no war or a lot less war.
Be a very different world.
Very different world. Okay, last comment. Quote, basic scientific ideas. I think he's referencing something that Usama said earlier. Science itself says matter cannot come from nothing. Therefore, where did matter come from? I don't even know what he means by what he's saying. Science says matter cannot come from nothing. I never heard of that.
I haven't either. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I can't speak authoritatively on that aspect of it. But my thing is more about the second part of the question. Or the actual question, the second part of the comment. What is wrong with when we don't know something to say I don't know? So we don't know where matter came from, let's say, and maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll discover it one day, and maybe we won't. But that doesn't mean that we can then jump to religious ideas that say, oh, well, matter came from God, who exists outside of the universe. We don't have to turn to something to be an answer when we can just say, I know. I don't know. Just because religion offers an answer doesn't mean that answer is true. And it doesn't mean that it's a better option than, pleading ignorance. Sometimes that's all we can do as human beings. And also the other thing is, when you claim the religion's answer, then that might stop you from actually seeking the real answer.
Yes. By the way, I have a bachelor's degree in physics, and I never heard of this concept of matter cannot come from nothing. In a bachelor's degree in physics, you don't get into deep stuff like Big Bang Theory. Maybe that's what he's talking about, Big Bang Theory. I don't know.
It's tough because the problem of this kind of line of thinking is what does nothing mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, that's why I don't like talking about this kind of stuff, because it becomes really abstract.
Yeah, well, I think what is important to understand here, there's a philosophy issue first, which is, look, when we use these terms, you gotta focus on the concept rather than the label. So like you just said, okay, the label nothing is easy to understand in a lot of contexts. In this context, what does it mean? What does nothing mean? I don't know. I think
is nothing even possible? Like as a thing? Like you know what I mean? Like, can we demonstrate a nothing?
I don't know. Let's take an example of something. As I was growing up learning physics, one of the earlier theories they teach you, and this is old stuff, is that space is mostly nothing. And if there's anything, it's when there happens to be some matter there. So space with no matter, I remember thinking of that as nothing. But then you find out later, actually, the nothing is a medium. Stuff can pass through it, like electromagnetic waves. And also, things can materialize from it and then vanish inside of it. So I hope I'm not losing people here. But if you take an electron and a positron, which is the anti-particle version of the electron, and you send them to each other at high speeds, and when they collide, they vanish. The electron doesn't exist anymore, and the positron doesn't exist anymore. Nothing is there. It like returns to the void of space, the nothingness, right? And by this logic, the reverse could happen. You could have nothing, and then what spits off is a electron and a positron. That's what I learned in physics. So I don't know if that helps anyone, if it moves us any further to answering where does matter come from. I don't know. What's wrong with just saying the universe has always been here?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So I think you might be right. Like, this person might be referring to the Big Bang theory. Like I guess what some people have in their mind is that there was a void. I don't even know what word to use. A void, a nothingness, and then so they think what atheists who are scientists think happened is, and then boom, out of nowhere, the Big Bang happened, and all the stars and all that came out of nowhere from this void. And I don't think many atheists or people subscribe to the theory, the Big Bang theory, actually think that.
But even the physicists don't think that. So let me be clear. No physicist says, and the theory about Big Bang theory, which comes really, it's not its own theory. It's just a consequence of Einstein's general relativity. It doesn't say that there was nothing before. It just says there was an expansion. That also leaves room for all of the stuff in the universe was there already. It just expanded.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think what we just showed is this person is asking a question that doesn't make sense. And the question itself kind of indicates they don't have a understanding of what thing they're really criticizing. I think they're trying to criticize here.
It seems like it, but hard to say.
Yeah, it's similar to the people who criticize evolution by saying, "Well, how come the monkeys don't become us?
How come there's still monkeys today?"
Yeah, how come there's still monkeys today? And just that's showing that the person has a misunderstanding of what evolution is, of what we say evolution is, what science says evolution is. We didn't come from monkeys, and also there's no reason to think that monkeys would evolve to humans. By the way, we humans have already taken all the good spots. You know what I mean? We've invaded the whole earth. There's no place for anyone to go take our spot. And actually, this explains why the other human versions that were here before us, the Neanderthals, like 150,000 years ago, and the Denisovans, they don't exist anymore. There really is only one. There's only room for one species to do what humans do. Maybe that's a little bit unfair to those other guys. And by the way, let me just say, I'm not sure we killed them. We actually have 3% of their genes. Like Europeans have 3% of Europeans' genes comes from Neanderthals. 3% of the East Asian people, their genes comes from the Denisovans. So we had sex more than anything else. Hopefully it was consensual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you think?
Shall we wrap it up?
Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do it.
I guess it's all over.
It's all over.
It's all over. Till next time, everyone.
Until next year.
Next year, yes. And other times. I'll see you in a couple weeks. I'm going to be on Secular Spirits. We're going to do something together.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Yeah.
About what is it? Matrix concept?
The Matrix.
And then also, are we doing the other one about gray Gandalf, white Gandalf?
I'm down. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.